Yes, folks, it is that time. It is time for Richmond Business Babes. This is WRWK, Midlothian, Virginia, 93.9 on your FM dial, where we bring community to you. You can run into Lisa or her guests at Kroger's. Anyway, so much for that. Take it away, Lisa.
Thank you, the remarkable Ron, my
The views expressed are those of the speaker.
Thank you, the remarkable Ron, my producer. And welcome to Richmond Business Babes here at WRWK 93.9 FM, The Work, where you will get your weekly dose of celebrating successful women all over the RVA. Women who are making money doing what they love, loving what they do, owning and operating their own small businesses. And I'm your host, Lisa Linnell. We have got a great show lined up. First show of the month of May, and it is entitled Cha-Ching into Spring. And it's part 5 because we had Cha-Ching into Spring in April as well and March as well. It's been a long spring. So first up, we are going to meet Deidre Gill. She is the owner of Pencraft Post, which is a custom wedding invitation signage and gift business. She's an artist and she customizes all of her artwork for the wedding industry. And so she's going to tell us how she's making a living running her own small business doing that. And then at the bottom of the hour, we're going to meet Marylee Marmer. She is the owner of Marylee Marmer Events, which is a wedding planning and day of wedding coordination business. So a lot going on in the springtime with weddings. Now, before we bring on our first guest, which is Deidre Gill, I would like to ask the remarkable Ron, my producer,
Here it comes.
questions about wedding traditions. Can you name me a wedding tradition?
8? Huh. Gosh, you stumped me on that one.
No, just one.
Eight, just one. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
as in,
A ring.
absolutely. So according to this article on July 2nd of last year in the Richmond Times-Dispatch, the ring and is a symbol of tying the knot, right? And when you talk about tying the knot in ancient Rome and ancient cultures, what they did was they tied the wrist of the bride and groom together.
Really?
When they got married. So all during the wedding ceremony, it was common practice to do hand fastening, especially in ancient Rome, where the bride and the groom's hands were tied together for the duration of the wedding ceremony.
Wow.
And released after the wedding was made official. Bet you didn't know that.
No escaping, huh?
Well, it would look pretty bad if you did. And then another wedding tradition is throwing rice, which nobody really does that anymore because it's been replaced by bubbles and birdseed because, some wildlife and birds who eat the rice, it's bad for their digestive system.
They're not used to it, yeah.
But anyway, the reason that people used to throw rice was a sign of prosperity and fertility. So those are just some of the wedding traditions that we have still today. And speaking of wedding traditions, my first guest is making a living running her small business, Pencraft Post, supporting the wedding industry community. She does wedding invitations, signage, and gifts. And her name is Deidre Gill. Welcome, Deidre.
Hey, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on Richmond Business Babes. I'm so glad that you made the time. And before we get into exactly what you do, I just want to tell our guests a little bit more about your business. First of all, Deidre has been in business for 5 years, and she is a multi-category winner in Richmond Bride Magazine for 2024, the Winter Spring edition. Her business, Pencraft Post, was voted best of #1 as local maker of custom-made wedding gifts and best of #1 in another category, which was winner of the locally owned Etsy shop to support the purchase of accessories and handmade decor. So welcome to Richmond Business Babes. I'm glad you made time to come on. And I wanted you to just walk us down your career path. And that started about 5-6 years ago. Is that correct?
So yeah, the timeline is a little wonky for me. I started, I would say, in about 2019, and then we had COVID, and so I kind of had to pivot as
Mhm.
weddings and events obviously were not happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when I kind of got creative and did a few other things, or bespoke hand lettered balloons, which have become really popular now. And folks do actually incorporate those into their weddings and bridal showers as well too.
Mhm.
But yeah, then once they started, weddings and events got back on the calendar. That's been one of our main income streams. Yeah.
So how did you get into this line of work? And is this a side hustle for you? Or are you actually earning your living running your business? Or talk about how did you always have like a passion for, I guess, penmanship and calligraphy and artistic work?
Yeah. So I have always been like a paper and pen kind of girl,
Mhm.
over the digital world. So I just like the physical motion of writing things down. So
Mhm.
even when I was a kid, I was writing all over the place. All over the newspaper. My parents would come down, and the newspaper would just be covered with lettering.
I thought you were saying when I was a kid, I was writing on the walls. Did you do
I,
that?
I probably did that too. But so I just always loved that. In high school, my best friend and I were kind of known for being like the lettering girls. We loved just doing that all in our planners, all during class. It helped us stay focused.
Uh-huh.
And I never really thought that I could do this as a career until I started seeing it on Instagram and social media, other people doing this. And the first time I did like a friend's wedding, and people kept telling me, you should really try it. And it was a while before I actually went off and started on my own. Honestly, the biggest like hamper hurdle for me was Instagram, like, and having that social media presence. I was really not interested in doing that at first. And then eventually I bit the bullet.
Well, that's great. Now, when you did your friend's wedding, was that prior to 2019 when you started the actual business?
It was. Oh my gosh, Maria, I don't remember what year your wedding was. She got married so young, so it was like the first of my.
So what did you actually do for her? What were and was that your gift to her?
Yes, I did not charge her for that. It was like a welcome sign, seating chart, and then just some various other pieces that are pretty common for people to have at their
And
wedding.
had you already studied like calligraphy or?
So for me, it's just kind of been like a natural feel. I'm very much a fan of doing things freehand. Is just based on feel as opposed to, staying in the lines and that kind of thing. So I like a more free form look, and that's just kind of always come natural to me. So.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, your work is beautiful, and obviously you're doing very well because you were voted best of in Richmond Brides magazine this year. But my penmanship, however, is quite the opposite of yours. I'm just like, people say, well, you should have been a doctor. The way I write, I can't even read my own penmanship sometimes. And I remember as a kid, my grandmother sat me down on at her kitchen table and said, "Lisa, I want to teach you the Palmer method. Have you ever heard of that?"
I have not.
Yeah, well, that's what my grandmother called it, and where you just like did oval loops again and again, and I was like, I don't like this,
Oh,
but
funny.
you
Yeah,
would
I'll
not
tell you, I didn't
have someone
inherit
employed by you.
my penmanship from either of my parents. I used to, I feel like I'm old enough to say now, I used to forge my mom's signature in high school a few times, and it was just an M and then like a straight line. So it was pretty easy to do.
Well, so fast forward from your friend's wedding, that was your first like sort of official, you
Mhm.
know, venue for your work to be displayed. And then here comes 2019. What were you doing prior to starting your business?
So prior to that, I had not been doing anything. I hadn't even been doing it on the side related to lettering. I was working at a nonprofit, and I was just kind of getting ready to move on to something else. And so I it kind of I felt motivated to just go for it. And I
Uh,
kind of jumped in. I'm a bit of a spontaneous risk taker type, and so I did not have a business plan. I did not have, I just jumped in, and
yeah. Well, what was
there
that first couple of months like when you jumped in? How did you get your first couple of contracts with I guess brides? Do you do things other than weddings or?
So I would say when I first started, the biggest thing that I did was just going out and meeting people
Mhm.
and meeting photographers and wedding planners. Those are kind of the two biggest sources of referrals for us
Mhm.
still to this day. And so, yeah, just going to those kinds of events and just, and networking
Mhm.
was I was just going to all kinds of events and meeting new people and getting coffee with people. And so it was exhausting
And you
and fun at the
well,
same time.
yes, I'm sure it was exhilarating just knowing that, you're really launching into this business now. And so when you said going to those kinds of events, were they networking events, business to business, or were they um, wedding shows and bridal shows where you either had a booth or you solicited people who were exhibitors? What kind of events were they?
Yeah, so I think it was a mix. There were definitely like events geared for like women in business. I was more active on like groups in Facebook groups and things. And so just connecting with people that way. And
Mhm.
then as I got a little bit more established, I would go and do the shows at the venues and things like that. So where
So
I would
you
be
were
meeting.
actually an exhibitor at a wedding and bridal shows.
Yes.
And those can be very expensive. What would you say and I guess it depends on, how large of a show it is and how well it's advertised. But
Right.
is a normal booth $500 or is it more than that or the average?
More than that. So with at the venues, a lot of times there is no cost. They'll do it with their preferred vendors. And
Uh,
so that's what I would recommend for people who are getting started is to see if you can, go to one of the ones at a venue.
mhm.
Um, for me, they haven't always been the most worth it. I think the things that have been most valuable to me have been creating real relationships with other vendors.
Right, right. Years ago, I worked for a company called Virginia Aluminum. I believe it's now called Virginia Exterior, and it was a remodeling company, windows and siding, and I would
Mhm.
be a representative there at the home shows, and I had so much fun, loved it. And what happens is you're actually meeting other exhibitors because in the
Right.
downtime you're chit chatting and exchanging information, and it's really great as an exhibitor as a networking tool to meet other exhibitors, So you probably found that to be the case as well. Is that true?
And the other thing that I am remembering that I did was what's called a styled shoot. And for folks who aren't in the industry, a styled shoot is like a faux wedding that vendors will come together, and usually there's a planner or somebody is behind it with a design mood board, and they'll kind of gather vendors that they admire their style. And so we'll go to an actual venue and do all the setup, and then take pictures, and folks will use it for marketing and just to kind of flex creative muscles that and kind of show the things that they want to be doing. And that's a great way. I've met, friends, other fellow vendors that I'm still good friends with to this day, was the first styled shoot that I did.
Oh, that's nice. Well, was it hard to get on the invite list for that? I mean, if you're seen and nobody really knows about you, and that's how you will be launched, by going to these style shoots, like
right.
What comes first, the chicken or the egg,
So back then, and I don't do this now.
The ring or the date?
So I wouldn't do this now because I've learned to, value my time and all that. But when I was first starting, I would offer my services for free to do. If there was a styled shoot that I really wanted to do, I really liked the venue. I really liked the ideas, and I could do something super creative that I hadn't gotten to do before. And I, of course, would get the professional photographs. So that is on all the groups, Facebook groups. There's people always posting, "Hey, we're doing this style shoot. Hey, we're doing this. We need a calligrapher. We need this." So that's an easy way to kind of get in and get yourself some photos too if you're getting started.
So that sounds like it worked well for you.
Mm-hmm.
Great. And if you've just tuned in, by the way, you're listening to Richmond Business Babes here on WRWK 93.9 FM The Work. I'm your host, Lisa Linnell, and we are talking with Deidre Gill. She is the owner of Pencraft Post, which is a custom, a business that customizes wedding invitations, signage, and gifts. So let's talk about your product line. What would you say would be the top 2 or 3, I guess, products or services that you offer that are, like best sellers, say?
So we over the years, we've kind of had a lot of legs to the table. And I'm kind of in the process now of really niching down. And so we're actually not going to be offering as many products moving forward. Mm-hmm. But our new services that I'm really excited about is our like on-site calligraphy and engraving services. And so this is when, for example, for a wedding or a large event, they could hire me to come on to the site, the wedding venue site, and personalize items of their choosing for their guests in front of them during the reception. So
give me an example of that.
Yeah. So, for example, like let's say it's a wedding maybe in November around the holidays. The wedding favor could be part of this experience. So everyone gets an ornament. Everyone would come to my table. They would pick the ornament, and I would customize it with whatever they would want.
Oh, I like that. And you know what's great about that for you, Deidre, is that you're not prepared. I mean, you're preparing in advance because you're bringing the ornaments and your pens and all of the tools that you need. But it's sort of a one and done. Mm-hmm. If I were in your shoes as an artist, I would like that. It's like you come in, you bring all the equipment, you bring the product, you go home, you're done. It's not hanging over your head. Have you done a lot of those so far?
So I am transitioning into trying to introduce it to the wedding world. I do it now more with larger brands where, for example, like Tiffany and Company will hire me to come into their store, and it's a gift with purchase for their clients. So if a client makes, buys a bracelet that day, they get a complimentary calligraphy personalization from me.
It's great.
So,
And how did you get that gig?
so it's something that has been like popular with these bigger brands. It's kind of funneling down to weddings and smaller events now.
Uh-huh.
Honestly, a lot of times people find me on Instagram.
Okay. So that's how the Tiffany marketing event person found you?
Yeah, actually, you know what? That particular job was from a past bride. So it was a past wedding client who works at the store in Richmond,
Uh-huh.
and so she recommended me for that one. So
That's
yeah, it
nice.
came full
Very
circle.
nice. So when you're at a wedding, well, first of all, what products or services do you currently have that you plan to keep before you transition to sort of a in the moment on-site event calligraphy kind of
So
service?
so we'll still keep our rentals. We have a rental inventory of mirrors and other statement pieces that we can customize for the clients. So they will rent a mirror for their welcome sign or for their seating chart, and we'll keep doing our rentals.
Mhm.
But yeah, and we're going to keep the balloons as well. But we are moving away. I've actually already moved away from doing acrylic signage and things where it's a bit more wasteful. We like to have the mirrors, they can be reused and reused and reused. We just scrape them and reuse them. And that way the couple doesn't have to deal with all these pieces at the end.
Mhm.
So it's just kind of, we bring it, we take it away, and they can, one
And
less thing for them to
did
do.
that kind of evolve based on feedback from your clients, or it evolved based on you just seeing another niche that you wanted to go to?
That's more of a personal value. And so we've kind of just moved that direction over the years.
Okay. And when you say we, do you have employees or business partners?
No, that's just a habit. I always say we. I get help from some family members every once in a while,
So
but
you're sort of a one-woman operation.
at the moment, yes.
Okay. When you're saying customizing wedding balloons, I was thinking, gosh, like, do you do the artwork or the calligraphy or the writing before the balloon expands, or do you wait till it is inflated? Because then if you're waiting till it's inflated, then you're under the pressure to do it immediately that day. How does that work?
Right. So the balloon story is an interesting one. We started doing those for fun, and then I started to think, hey, this could actually be something here.
Uh-huh.
And so we used to use helium. They became pretty big during the pandemic. And I'm not sure if you've gotten to see them, but they're like 30 inches in diameter. They're
Oh my
round,
gosh.
30 inches. So they're very, very large. And at some point, a couple years ago, we ended up getting cut off from our helium supplier because there's a
Yes.
global helium shortage.
Yes, and I,
And,
I want to comment that I am a dollar store kind of gal. And
yeah,
I remember, I don't know whether it was a birthday or whatever it was, and I went in to get well balloon, birthday balloon, whatever, and they're like, no, we don't have balloons. We have no helium. I'm like, what? Yeah, I remember that.
oh yeah, yep. And yeah, so I kind of thought, oh man, this is it. We're done with balloons. And then kind of came up with an alternative where we built these stands. They're supportive stands. It's like a clear tube with a wooden base that we built. and there's like a supportive cup that holds up, and we, it feels like a helium balloon, but it's air filled, so it's better
Oh,
for the environment. And people return the cans. They last for weeks, and
that's great.
yeah, they've become really, really popular.
That's wonderful. Well, we are talking with Deidre Gill of Pencraft and Post, and I guess you're in your studio. Is there any products that you can show us, because we are live streaming?
Oh, I'm upstairs in my office where I do my
Okay.
computer work.
Well, we'll just have to go to your website and Instagram to see. But so when we talk about your business and how you're transitioning to more of an on-site event, almost like entertainment in a sense, if they're coming up to you with ornaments or whatever they're coming up to you with to sign, is that going to represent about 50% of your business model, or more than that, or what are your thoughts on that?
I am not entirely sure how much it will be. I still do want to continue doing this design and signage for weddings. And yeah, we'll have to see how it catches on with that in that area. It is increasing for me with other brands, like doing fragrance engraving at the department stores and bottle engraving, all kinds of things like that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and it does.
Go to a winery and do that, right?
Right. And the other thing actually related to weddings is people will buy like a bourbon bottle, the tradition where they bury the bourbon like a month before their wedding. Is supposed to, I think it's supposed to say no rain.
I forget, but I've read about it, but I'm not sure. I just know about burying, what is it, St. Francis of Assisi upside down, if you want his statue to sell your house or something. I don't know. But anyway, yes. What about the bourbon bottles?
So folks will get it engraved with, it could be a gift for their fiance, or they'll just get their names on it and use it as they're digging up the bourbon bottle. And that's a photo op, so sometimes they'll want to have it extra special. The other thing is fragrance engraving. So a lot of times in the detail shots, people like to have their invitation and like just a couple, like a little flat lay. And sometimes they'll put the perfume in there, and I will engrave something like mother of the bride or mother of the groom, or her name. And so they'll either use it for that flat lay or give it as a gift to bridesmaids or to the parents, things like that.
That's great that you're diversifying. Well, Deidre Gill of Pencraft and Post, what have you learned in the last 5 years that you would want to share with other business women, business owners, and a very, targeted business that's very intensely geared toward customer satisfaction and your own artwork abilities? When you look back, what have you learned that either worked really well or you would do differently going forward?
Oh man, I've got there's a long list, but I'll try to pick a couple.
Top three.
So one thing I would say that I have learned is about saying no. Clients can, if you don't have that strong sense of who you are and what you're doing and what you do and don't do, it's easy to kind of be taken advantage of, not in like an intentional way, but you end up, I would say, try to have more of an abundance mindset. So you are able to say, okay, this isn't right for me. I can, like, more will come to me. And not just saying,
give me an example of obviously without naming names or identifying the guilty party, but like can you recall a particular instance where that kind of backfired on you?
maybe, for example, if somebody says, oh, I want this lettered on coconuts or something, like I want my place cards lettered on coconuts, and I need them in a week, and I like, this is my budget, I can only do this.
Right.
So a lot of different examples, but kind of not knowing what you're getting into, you're going to have to do a lot of trial and error. So that's a lot of time that you may not have accounted for.
Right.
Just kind of thinking about what is actually possible here.
Right.
This is going to be what I'm doing. Like, I can't be hustling, working every night, working every weekend,
Sure.
just for like this much.
Right. Right. Well, and I guess that occurs more when you're just starting, and you'll do practically anything to build a business and get your name out there and satisfy customers. But as, like you said, as you're honing your services and your product line, and you're knowing what is possible and isn't possible, that's, I guess, when it becomes easier to say no to that kind of a situation.
Yeah, exactly.
And when you look back, what do you feel was a great decision that really, catapulted you, and that you definitely are pleased that you did, when you were starting?
The absolute best decision that I have ever made in my business was finally hiring a business coach. That has been a game changer for me. And this has only happened in the past year, actually.
Okay.
So just having that as a one-person show, it can feel like, it just feels really nice to be part of a team, having someone she's invested in my success, and she's got strengths that the nitty-gritty stuff is not necessarily my strength. And so having that accountability and that motivation there, especially, so I have ADHD, so certain tasks are very challenging for me, like a lot of tasks that are necessary to run a business.
Right.
And having that support has been amazing.
That's great. Would you be willing to share who that coach is?
So she is virtual, or she's not located in Richmond. She's in Indianapolis. Her name is Erin Bridgman.
Erin Bridgman. Maybe, later on today or tomorrow off air, you can share with me her contact information. I'd love to have her on if you're feeling like she was a big factor in your success. Yeah, that would be great. So we are just about to wrap up here, and I'm so glad that you made the time to come on. Richmond Business Babes, Deidre Gill of Pencraft Post. Before we do, what going forward, what would be the thing that you would like people to remember your company and your services for? Would it be the personalized signings and etchings, or would it be the balloons, or what specifically, like if you had to kind of funnel it into, just one or two product lines?
So I actually probably would say that we're here to elevate the guest experience. And we can do that in a number of ways, but I think the main thing is, that's what I want to be known for, is creating a interactive, engaging guest experience, whether that's with, a statement seating chart where they get to find their names and it's on a cute bottle of olive oil. Everyone gets a little bottle, something like that. Or the on-site engraving and calligraphy.
It's wonderful. I love that. And tell everybody how they can reach out to you and where they can find you on all the social media platforms.
So on Instagram, we are at Pencraft Post, and then website is pencraftandpost.com. And email is, well, if you can find my email on the website. And then I will just say, if anyone goes and sees the balloons, today we also do logo balloons, which are very popular for graduations. Today is the last day to order for any balloon needed in May. So just wanted to say that.
Okay, very good. Putting the pressure on. I like that. Time sensitive. Good. Well, thank you very much for taking time to come on Richmond Business Babes here on WRWK 93.9 FM, The Work, and much success to you. And I'll be in touch with you about your business coach as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Deidre Gill. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. I like that. She is running a business, doing what she loves, owner of Pencraft Post, in business for 5 years, voted best of by Richmond Bride Magazine 2024 for local maker of custom-made wedding gifts, and then also voted best of as the winner of a locally owned Etsy shop to purchase accessories and decor. So that was Deidre Gill and Pencraft Post. So very cool. And this is Richmond Business Babes. And I am here with my producer, the remarkable Ron. And we are Cha-Chinging into Spring Part 5. And coming up next, we have another guest who is Marylee Marmer. And let me tell you a little bit about Marylee. She is the owner of Marylee Marmer Events, which is a wedding planning service and a day of the wedding coordinator business. And she is also a winner of the Richmond Bride Magazine Spring 2024 Best of. She has been, there's a couple of different ones that she's been voted best of. So let me get that here. She has been voted Marylee Marmer Events, best of Day of Wedding Coordinator, #1 there, best of Floral Design as well. And not only that, but her weddings have been featured on prestigious wedding blogs such as Honeysuckle Brides, Borrowed in Blue, Wedding Sparrow, Zola, The Lovely Find, Pretty Pear Bride, and so many more. She has been featured in Bride Magazine, Rent My Wedding, Virginia Living Magazine, Richmond Bride Magazine, Richmond Weddings, and she has won numerous awards with the Knot Hall of Fame, the Best of Weddings by the Knot, the Couples Choice Award by Wedding Wire, and then multiple NACI awards. So we are so happy that Marylee Marmer of Marylee Marmer Events has taken the time to come on Richmond Business Babes. Welcome. Oh. Okay. Welcome to you, Marylee Marmer. How are you today?
I'm good. Hi, Lisa. It's so great to be on the show. Thank you so much for allowing us to be on here, and just all to the viewers. Hey, y'all. Hey, that's my signature to say hi to everybody.
Well, we are happy that you're here. So you have been in business for how many years now?
So I have been doing this for almost 20 years.
Okay.
My business started over 9 years ago. I started in corporate events almost 20 years ago, and then I worked for various wedding venues in the area, and then I started Marylee Marmer Events thereafter.
Wow. Well, you are definitely a veteran of the corporate events and wedding scene if you've been doing this for 20 years, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes. So walk us down your career path to when you were doing corporate events. Were you an employee of another company, or were you doing that as your own business at that point?
So yes, I was actually doing corporate events for an association, and I was an employee of that company, and we would throw galas for over 5,000 people, and so that's really how I got my start. And after that, everybody was like, wow, you're really organized, and we really want to work with you. Mansion hired me as their main planner at the mansion, and that's how I got started with weddings there. And so being planner director there really kind of jump started my career, because I really got to know all of the different vendors that are involved, minus venues. And then I quickly started to come really close with all these venues around Richmond after I left there.
Right. Was that a scary move to make for you when you were working, for a company, and then just saying, that's it, I'm going to be my own businesswoman? Was that, and forego a steady paycheck and just do it on your own? Or was it, what did you start as like a side hustle, still employed with the other company?
No, actually, I really just kind of jumped right into it. It was very hard. When you first start a business, you have all these dreams and aspirations that it's going to just quickly, jump as soon as you start your business. But it takes a lot of work, and I had the determination to make that happen.
Wonderful. Well, so your very first wedding that you were now a businesswoman, Marylee Marmer Events, and you did, was it a wedding or was it a corporate event? That was your first gig as your own business? It was a wedding. Wow, really super pressure. Do you remember that day?
I do. I was at Bowling Haxel House in Richmond, Virginia, and I had a team that helped me that really, and that's, I can't do every wedding without my amazing team. They're amazing.
Yeah. So did it go off without a hitch, or were there little snafus that were behind the scenes that the bride didn't know about? You can tell us now. It's okay.
Always little snafus that happen behind the scenes. But
Yeah.
You know what? It actually went really well that day.
Yeah.
We were very organized. We had everything that we needed, between timelines and vendor management, and just really taking on that day and making sure that the client was happy.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that's what we always want, is the client to be happy.
Right. And that's really what every businesswoman wants. Prior to you coming on, I don't know if you caught the first half of the show, but we had on Deidre Gill of Pencraft Post. Are you familiar with her?
Yes, we've heard of them. Yeah. A couple of times I have worked with them as well.
Yeah. So she's been in business for about 5 years, and she said, of course, there was the slump with the pandemic and everything, but it's interesting to, just talk to women in this industry, because there's such an enormous amount of pressure. I would think above and beyond, just because the event is the event, there's no recreating it, so you're in the moment. And now, do you garner most of your revenue from actually the wedding events or the floral design? Because you do floral design as well. Is that correct?
Yes, we do wedding and event planning. We do floral design, linen rentals, decor rentals, and custom signage. We also have an event space in downtown Richmond called the Brick House RVA. And, we get revenue from all of those factors. The most that I'm most well known for is the floral design and the wedding planning.
Okay.
I was self-taught on the floral design, and now have won numerous awards for the floral design, which is huge
Congratulations.
honor. And so, we get most of our revenue from those two avenues. Yeah.
The floral design and the wedding planning.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Was it a big jump for you to actually have your own event space? Do you lease that or own that, or?
Yeah, so I actually co-own it with someone, and we actually didn't start that until 2 years ago. We felt a really great need from our couples previously, where they needed to find a venue that did not have in-house catering and didn't have those food and beverage minimums. So we allow outside catering, that are licensed and insured, and they can bring in their own alcohol, which saves a lot of money. They just need an ABC license. So, we're still in the baby phase of the event space, but we, have all sorts of different events here.
And where is that downtown at the Brick
And
House.
it's in the Arts District, so we second as an art gallery as well. So we're always open for
Ah.
First Fridays as well. So, you know, you guys can come on out on Friday.
All right.
We'll be open so you can see some art.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. So, what have you learned? I mean, there's so much I'm sure that you have learned, Marylee Marmer, of Marylee Marmer Events. But when you look back over the 9 years that you're actually in business, as a business, what has elevated you to this status of being the go-to award-winning? I mean, what have you learned along the way that has set you above and beyond so many other? Because, and this is a two-part question. The other part is, when you do the wedding planning, that's different than the day of. And I'm imagining that most brides want both. Is that correct?
Yes, you know, we have multiple types of different packages with Marylee Marmer Events. So our couples can choose from coordination package, which, you know, they get a certain number of meetings up until their day, partial planning where they've chosen their venue and we help them with everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And then full planning is they start with us and we help them with everything. So there's different levels of things, and
Mm-hmm.
we provide different, you know, packages because we want it to, you know, benefit the couple on what they're wanting to spend as far as, you know, budget and things. And, you know, not every couple is created equal. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know, some couples are a little bit more hands-on than
Mm-hmm.
others. And so, and sometimes people work so much that they're not able to plan the wedding that they want, and we can really help them from that. And so, you know, we really kind of work with each couple whenever we do our consultation to figure out what package actually works best for them, and that's kind of how we go with that. So depending on whether or not it is a coordination or if it's a wedding planning type of situation, we find that out then.
Yeah.
As far as like what has set us, you know, outside the rest, you know, I have great relationships with my clients and my couples. You know, I actually become friends with them, you know, after, and keep in touch with them on social media, and they're just wonderful. They match our personalities. They are just the sweetest, you know, families, and we get to know them. And so it's not just a job for us. We want to make sure that every single couple has the day that they envision for their day, and we execute that to make sure that we're taking off as much stress as we can for them. And so I think, based on our reviews that I have gotten and my team has gotten throughout the years, it has really put us, you know, up there, you know, to set us aside from others. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question on that.
Oh, I've got more questions. I've got follow-ups. Yeah. So now, like you said, your couples, you know, that you're of the same mind. Have you ever met a wedding couple that you knew it wasn't going to mesh well with you and your team, and you kind of just didn't even want the business? Like, and if so, how do you tactfully reject that couple? Too strong of a word, I guess.
Every once in a while it does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, when we do our consultation, we really find out if each couple is, you know, going to mesh well with our personalities.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea. You know, I'm a Southern belle, you know, that loves Jesus and cusses a lot, but I don't cuss with my clients. But I will say that, you know, not everybody is going to fit my personality. And so we always tell couples in the consultation, you know what, I might not be your cup of tea, and that's fine. We want you to find that particular vendor that does work with your personality. So, you know, there's so much business to go around, and, you know, there's so many friends that I have in the wedding industry, and I can suggest people, you know, to them, you know.
Yeah, that's good. Well, and when we were talking to Deidre Gill of Pencraft Post, customized wedding gifts, she said the thing that really catapulted her business was the relationships that she established with other wedding vendors. And that really, really helped her. And I guess when you started 9 years ago, Marylee Marmer of Marylee Marmer Events, you had already established those relationships on a corporate level with when you were an employee and doing corporate events. Is that correct?
Yes, definitely. The major advice I could give for business owners who want to start out is you need to build those relationships with each and every vendor, each venue. Your clients are great reviewers that, can make those great reviews for you. It's not going to start and happen overnight, like I said earlier, but you know what? One of the things that has really been beneficial for me is I have an amazing team. I'm not just one person. I could not do this every single week if I didn't have the amazing team that I do.
Sure. How large is your team? Full-time and part-time, or?
We do have some full-time and we have mostly part-time. The reason why they want to be in this business is because this is a passion of theirs and they love doing what they do. Mm-hmm. And it really shows on wedding day. And our couples love my team and myself, like I said, we become friends afterwards.
I like that. I would imagine that for a certain percentage of your couples who start out sort of more along the lines of a not budget service, not that you're a budget provider, but the sort of the least level of service that you provide, I would imagine that a strong percentage of those customers, when the ties are going to be cut and they're not having you for a coordinator for the day of, realize, no, I want you there. Does that happen a lot where they convert to, they might not initially want you or can afford you or think they need you for the day of services, but as you're planning with them throughout the engagement period, do a lot of those clients then morph into saying to you, no, can you be there that day? It might even be too late. You might be booked already.
Sometimes we have had clients that either just booked us for floral and they were like, you know what, we really need you for the entire day. Are you still available?
Yeah.
Great team that I have, we have multiple lead planners on the team. So it's not just me as a lead planner.
Okay.
So, we always tell couples, try to book as soon as you can because we do book up fast. Sometimes there is the chance that we are available as coordinator too. And so we've even had situations where we were just planning on doing like just coordination and they saw it was too daunting to get all the proposals and get all the contracts and do all of that. And then they upgrade to a partial planning package. So we've had all of that happen.
I figured that you would, because they're just so reliant upon you throughout the process that then when you say, okay, good luck, they're like, no, we need you. So that's nice. That's a testament to your ability to serve your clients, really. So what, if you had to break out all your revenue streams, is there an 80-20 where, most of it comes from either planning or most of it comes from the floral, or how does that break out? And what would an average service expense be for a customer?
Yeah, so most of it is definitely from planning. But a lot of times with our situation, there's not a lot of planners in Richmond that actually are kind of like that one-stop shop where we do the planning, we do the floral, we do the custom signage, we do the linens, and also have the event space. So a lot of times people are like, oh my gosh, this is going to take so much weight off of me because you can do multiple services for us that we would normally have to outsource to other vendors. And so they really love the fact that we do multiple things for them. Not every client does floral, but the majority of them do. It used to be when we first started doing floral that only a few here or there, but now the majority of our clients do floral through us.
What are the most popular floral arrangements trending now?
Oh my goodness, there's so many. We are really seeing a lot of baby's breath right now coming back in. People were kind of turned away from baby's breath for a long time. We're seeing a lot of people loving carnations again. Usually carnations, people kind of steer away from that. But they come in so many different colors, so people love that. we see a lot of the, candlesticks and the taper candles and the chimneys that go over those. And we have all of that stuff in stock. With our decor room, people can also rent certain decor items from us, and then if they have the convenience factor of us bringing it on site the day of instead of them having to haul it to the wedding venue.
Yeah.
So a lot of people really love that.
Yeah. What so is your, I guess for lack of a better word, warehouse for your supplies, is that part of the Brick House RVA building as well?
It is.
Okay,
Yes.
that would make
we
sense.
have over 4,000 square feet at the Brick House RVA, and the event space is on the storefront level. We have a little office loft that we have overlooking the event space, and then downstairs we have over 2,000 square foot of space that we can house everything, kind of back of house, that we keep, and it's really nice because everything's all in one place.
That's great. And how many employees did you say that you have?
So we've got roughly about 12 employees.
That's a lot. So on any given weekend at the peak of the wedding season, how many weddings are you supporting?
We have done anywhere from 1 wedding to 7 weddings in one weekend.
Okay. Wow. And so is there ever a point, Marylee Marmer of Marylee Marmer Events, where you yourself are like toggling back and forth between, or are you just stationary with the one wedding that day?
Sometimes I have a wedding on a Friday, Saturday, and a Sunday. So we have such a wonderful team that really helps with, setup and the floral design and all of that. I am very hands-on with everything, so it's not just me in an office watching everybody else work.
Sure.
I am, helping them throughout the week and also on wedding day as well. So, we do a lot throughout the week and on the weekend.
Right. But I mean, like you yourself, like if you have a wedding on a Friday and then Saturday, let's say you have another wedding, but then your staff wants you to be at a second wedding on that Saturday. Do you ever go back and forth between, or once you're on one wedding, you're not going to another one?
Correct. Yes. If I'm the lead planner for a wedding, I'm there for that wedding.
Okay.
And so I don't do multiple weddings unless I'm just there for floral design and there's somebody else that's, handling the lead planner role.
Okay.
On the team, then, because I am the chief floral designer for Marylee Marmer Events. So sometimes if we have, say 3 weddings in one day, I will be taking the role of making sure that the floral design for each wedding is perfect. And so we schedule those based on, when the venue allows us to come in and such. That's the only time that I'm ever juggling, when I'm going to a wedding. But if I'm the lead planner, it would just be that one wedding that day.
Wow. Well, you sound like a very busy lady. I'm exhausted just thinking about your weekends. What do you do to relax, and when do you schedule vacation time? I guess it would be the slowest part of the year, which would be what, September? Or what's a slow time for weddings?
We do weddings from March until sometimes even December. So our slow months are typically January. And February.
Okay.
Sometimes we get a couple weeks here or there in July and August because, sometimes people aren't wanting to get, married outside in the brutal heat.
Sure.
But yes, we work a lot of different hours throughout those months, and we keep very, very busy. And of course, I've got my 2 kids, Ashley and Michael, that also keep me busy. So
yeah, and I know in your bio that you said that you're also helping domestic violence survivors and feeding the homeless in the community. So really awesome that you're giving back that way. We do have to wrap up. I would love to have you come back, but if you had to give advice to someone who maybe wanted to pursue this line of work or anything in the wedding industry, looking back over your very successful career so far, what would you tell that person?
I would tell them that if you put in the hard work and the determination that you have, you can do anything.
I like that. Short and sweet. and it worked for you. So tell everyone how they can get in touch with you.
Yes, you can reach out via the website. You can also email me, Marylee, at MaryleeMarmerEvents.com. And then our phone number for Marylee Marmer Events is 804-295-9940.
All right. Well, thank you so very much for taking the time to come on Richmond Business Babes. All the best to you, Marylee.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It was so nice to talk with you today.
Same here. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.
All right. That was Marylee Marmer of Marylee Marmer Events. She has done over 1,000 events and weddings in the last 9 years. So that's mind-boggling. She must really have, like she said, a great staff as well. But she was featured, her company was featured, voted best of in Richmond Bride magazine and so many other places, The Knot, just so many different bridal social media sites. She's just award-winning in so many categories, and for her floral designs as well. But that pretty much wraps up Cha-Ching into Spring Part 5 here on WRWK Richmond Business Babes. I want to thank all of our listeners. Thank you, the remarkable Ron, as always. And if you are a Richmond Business Babe, I just want to let you know that you are doing a great job. Now you go get them. Bye-bye now.
Well, there you go. Thanks for tuning in, folks. And we will move on to the next piece of our loop, which is, let's see. Oh, there it is. This is our theme music.
You are the one that possesses the key